There are reasons why I think the monarchy is better than democracy. Uh, First of all, which I'll go straight to my best point, which is they are prepared from birth. Like monarchs are prepared from birth. Means they got the training. They've been watching a lot of stuff, and they are they've learned, from a proper leader. So they're not just like in the case of a democracy, someone might be a teacher 1 year. Next year is another job or something. He's been through the other professions. He's trained in different things, or he's someone else, right? Like a teacher, lawyer, doctor, and his profession is not leadership. He's not a trained leader by any. He didn't think about leadership. Maybe when he was 2 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15. Maybe he was thinking about being a good doctor or being a good lawyer. And the mind. There's a way the mind works that the more you think about something, the more you are prepared for it. So when you are prepared from birth, that's a long time for a human to be prepared for a certain task, and that for me is a big advantage in any field. It's like if you think about it, if a lawyer, if you want to choose a doctor to do something for you, would you prefer someone who got elected as a doctor or somebody who is trained for many years as a doctor? Or even if it's trained, how long would you want them to be trained as a doctor before, which is better, the 20-year doctor or the 1 year doctor, the 6 month doctor? So you can see already what I'm trying to say. There's a training that's required for every position in society, and leadership is one of those positions in society that demands a certain level of training to make decisions at that level. It's like a manager of your company. Would you like the manager of your company to be elected, or someone that qualifies, or maybe the owner of the companies be elected every 4 years? Dude, that company will crash, dude. The owner of your company getting elected every 4 years. Do you know what will happen to that company? First of all, you won't even know what's happening. So the way it is now, when the 4 years, you don't know who's coming to rule this whole situation. Your company, let's put a company and country in the same field, kind of. You don't know what kind of. If people find out things about their president they didn't know, because they only know what they need to know during election time. So basically, what I'm trying to say, they're not prepared for that position. They're like they like loved into it. People say, "Oh, I like this guy. Oh, this is a good woman. Let's choose him. Let's choose her." But do they have the qualification? And what is your judgment? What is usually their judgment of a qualification? It's usually how much money they're going to put in their pockets, the people's citizens' pocket, one way or the other. You can say in Nigeria they do it directly, but in other countries they do the same thing where they promise, 2.2% increase in. So they use different terms like, oh, we'll get more money for this, less tax, which means more money for people anyway. So it's just a different way of saying we'll give you more food, more food, more money, more freedom or something for the moment. So choose me. So it's like I'll do one thing, and that should get me for 4 years. This is what I'm going to do for 4 years, So they're not prepared. They're there for, some of them are there for their own ambition because they are normal people who want to be special, different from special people who have to prove they deserve it with all the skills and knowledge that they have. So it's very, this point is very important for me because I think it's like a lawyer, a doctor, it's a job, leadership of a country or a nation is the same as leadership, the same as being qualified as a doctor or lawyer, or you're doing a service for the nation, for your community, So when you're leading your community, it's a service. You're stopping war, you're making peace, your progress is your responsibility. Prepared from birth is very different from someone who might not just be prepared for leadership. They're prepared to make certain changes that they've promised, but leadership is not their thing. So it's kind of like not my choice because of this, especially this reason, And you don't even know who this person is going to be next. You don't know who your next. leader is going to be. You can't even check them now. You have to wait till election time. So yeah, that's one point. So I'm not going to number the point. I'm just going to go through them because I already numbered them on my AI video. You can watch that one to see all the points named out, stretched out by AI. Not so smart, so I have to do this one. So yeah, number 2 for me, the number. Number 2, stability. You have a leadership that's stable, which means they can think properly. They have experienced the past and they have links to the past that's like by blood, and they're connected to the future. Like the future for them is not about just being a king. That was normal for them a long time ago. It's about passing what they're going to judge them for what they did at this time. So there's been people before them in their bloodline that have ruled, and they will be comparing to them basically. So they do have a lot of work to do to keep up that name. I'm not talking about what you see today as monarchs. They have been displaced. Most monarchies are not really in power anymore. We're talking about a monarch that is in power. So you're stable. For more than 4 years, you have somebody who can plan a real, progress, plan real progress, give real peace, who's been in negotiations with other nations on your behalf for some time, so they have a long relationship with other nations, which is how relationships grow with time, love or hate, time, still the same. Time means you have more knowledge of that situation. These people have more knowledge of that relationship. There'll be people that will become your president today. They will not be totally aware of what happened 60 years ago because they were not born or they were kids or something, So if you were linked by family, you will probably have heard, know a lot of things. It will be your business as a kid. This is what your family, because just the way you know about your own family, that's how you know about the country, because the country is their business or the nation is their business, So there's a stability that brings expertise. Policies continue, so see, a lot of times you see every 4 years or maybe 8 years now, sometimes they change policies. One person, they've invested in this thing to do something that they have to do, but the next ruler after 4 years comes, he'll change everything, take it back, fire these people, put new people. So it's just a lot of disruptions that usually doesn't lead anywhere. There's a lot of distractions, just diversions of things that's supposed to grow, just plants being uprooted, plants are getting turned upside down after 4 years. So it's just a waste of what you call a leadership period, of somebody trying to plant something, and just because it's from a different party, next person comes and changes it. That's just a lot of waste. Even resources are getting wasted, mental resources, time is being wasted, money invested in such projects are being wasted. So in a monarchy, you have if that happens, it won't be a lot. Like just be one person, maybe they change their mind, say, okay, I don't want this big thing. Let's change it to a small thing, or this small thing, make it big. Whatever, small changes, not like epic 4-year changes. We're going to change the price of this. We're going to raise it. Before you're confused, you don't know what's happened every 4 years. Before you know, there's a new person that was just a kid your age or something, now is your ruler. It doesn't have a lot of knowledge. You're looking at that person, they're not talking with a lot of experience because they're not trained for that situation. National unity. So political parties usually bring division in the nation, because you have to choose a party, and that party is going to be opposing another party which are followed by people from your own nation. So we have this big divide. I mean, just think back to those days, we didn't have such divides where people see themselves, oh, what are you? I'm of this party, that party, APC, PDP. When you had the, nation, I'm from this country, I'm from this nation, this is our ruler. But focus on your life, not looking at people thinking this one's my enemy, because they are following this other person, or they're not with us, So that part where, there's more unity, where people are like more likely to feel as one. Like now people they argue every 4 years. There's a big fight. Every election causes argument, even between family members, even between communities, inside chiefs that were friends. They would argue. Men that people that grew up together, they start arguing and say, no, this one's better than that one. So there's lots of problems with unity when it comes to those democracy. Uh, Faster decision making, yeah, making decisions faster. Making decisions faster, and responsibility has to have to add that responsibility for decision is more, there's more direct. Making decisions faster, something has to be done. You go through the panel of judges, everybody's talking, this one, that, everybody. If you have a monarch, the monarch usually makes a decision one time, and they bear the responsibility of it. Not only do they bear the responsibility, they want it to work, so they don't have to take any bad. They want it to work so that they don't have to get any bad repercussions for it. Okay, so faster decisions, yeah. And there comes what, campaign money, campaigns. Where is money coming from and where is it going to? Think about that. Where is the money coming from or where is it going to? It's a lot of money we're talking about every campaign. 4 years, every 4 years, there's a spending of money recklessly in most democratic nations. What I mean recklessly is about advertising people to rule you. So the money comes from people, your nation, people bring money, millions, and they use this money. Where do they put the money? Into advertising, usually through people, through boards, through posters, but there's a lot of money being spent on finding a leader that you should already have growing a system that produces leadership, which is a monarchy. And you talk about democracy. Democracy charges you every 4 years to find a leader. So every 4 years there's a budget for elections. There's a budget for doing a lot of bureaucratic things, and that's not really necessary. It's like a lot of waste of time as well. People are thinking about small thoughts, not short-term gains for elections, because if you look clearly, you see by now that democracy brings short-term policies, which they don't really last. No, they don't last, but it's not the leaders that make the policies last. It's usually the people, so it's not a thing about whether it's more, let's say, efficient or with leadership or not. It's more about, how do you say, more about, you need a lawyer, you need a doctor, and you find a doctor. It's not about the process of choosing the doctor. You need a doctor that knows your history, You want a new doctor every day. It's like you have to explain your history. Oh, they're going to read your history. But it's like you're getting comfortable with lots of doctors, man. They know. It's like, you're spread around. It's better to have one doctor, everybody knows, or one lawyer that knows your history, knows what you're going through. That's the same as a leader. I prefer to have one doctor, one lawyer. Why would I have one lawyer every case? I don't like this. It's not for people that can afford a good lawyer. They prefer one lawyer, one or two lawyers for specific issues, or what I mean. Doctors, they prefer to have a history with their doctor than changing doctor every appointment. It's the same thing here. It's like, do you want to have a wife or do you want to date commercial workers, or you want to, so the point is that kind of stuff where the dignity level as well of your leader, dignity levels. Okay, I'll talk about that. Another point is culture and history preserved, like old traditions, like royal families usually keep traditions deep in their families, so they hold and they use that tradition to stabilize the nation. So the nation as well follows this tradition because they have a royal family that is actually showing that tradition is still in vogue, or whether tradition is in vogue or not, they follow the leader. So a good royal family or royal tree will bring out people who are very educated in their culture and history. So that's how you preserve it, by having good leaders. Imagine a group of people who are, oh my god, I mean, electing is dangerous. It's very random. And you're talking about a job that's very important. It's the most important job in the community is leadership. So imagine you just choose. I mean, there's 3 people qualified. You're already getting it wrong, because there's only one person that should be qualified for that spot, and eventually they pick one person. So they're talking about they don't want a king, they don't want a queen. But you make a random person a king for 4 years. That's dangerous because humans, when they get power, they get corrupted, and that's something that you don't want your system to experience. We're experiencing it right now. Corruption. I mean, then we could complain to one person about corruption, but now in a democracy, it means there could be a team of four people that decide to come in the next 4 terms, or they are coming in the next four. They all partner up to corrupt. So you change one, the other one take tactic. My teammate Joe, he goes in, does the same thing. You complain, they change to another one. So you don't know, you can't catch them because they are all they're changing every 4 years. When you look at ex-president, even some countries, ex-president, they have immunity for this, I think it's for this reason, where they plan corruption and they know, oh, just do your part, you'll be immune after election. So I can see a pattern there where there is room for corruption. There's more room for corruption and less room for accountability. So you get people come in, they do change the policy. They're kings because the prime minister can come today after making a little head shake with some three people in a room. They wake up and say, okay, let's go to announce to the people the new laws. So they know these are kings. These are like, this not even kings used to be more afraid than these prime ministers when they used to change the law. They'd be like, they used to be more respectful of people. But now you just wake up, you find out that they said the price of something has gone times 2 because they changed the policy of something. It's like, who are these people? But you can't even point a finger in a democracy to who you want to blame for anything that's happening. Because there's so many people, first of all, you have to go through. Oh, do you go to the councillor? Do you go to the mayor? There's so many people to go through. There's so many ways to avoid any liability when you go into politics because of the structure now says you can do there's limited liability, let's put it like that. Limited liability. The royal monarchs, they are sole traders. You can close them, you can catch them. They killed monarchs. People have burnt them. They said, no, this is your fault, this is happening. Right now, they do the worst things, and what can you do? Maximum you can impeach your president, but he's done it. He's done. What are you gonna do? You can't do anything. The next president is busy bamboozling you, like it's telling you it will increase your money by reducing your tax by that's it's usually what they promise, money, some one way or the other. If they can promise you woman or food, you sure they distribute food? No, they promise food. They promise so many things so that you vote for them. But that's all. That's politics anyway. That's how it works. Tricks. They need your votes for a while. They say whatever and they're gone. They do whatever they want and you can't touch them. They have so. I'm just explaining, and you can see already there's a problem, big problem here. Another one is clear line of succession. Like you already know who are the possible next leaders of your nation. You're watching them. Anything happens, you're like, oh, you want to. They are already behaving themselves in a coordinated way so that you can judge them from birth. Even that small in UK now, Georgians, the one that's like last in line or something. They're already watching his behavior. So his parents are already training him to be a boss. So it's different when people are training you to be a son. Where you're just a guy. Then you have to customize your mind to leading a nation. It can be overwhelming. Some people are not ready for that position. So when they get to that position, it's a lot of things happen that's strange. Yeah, as I said, prepared for birth. It's like as a young monarch or part of the line of succession, when you meet people, they already know you as a boss. You don't have to be shocked when they call you boss of your nation. So at the right time or some. So those people that they get elected into positions, they will travel around the world based on the leadership that they have acquired of your nation. And they will meet people that they used to call celebrities. They are like, like a president uh, of let's use any country. They go see a monarch, for example. They go see a monarch. I mean, the rule is like a powerful. Let's use names. Yeah. Let's call president of Nigeria comes to see King Charles. Yeah. So you know what happens? He's a president for 4 years. Prince King Charles was Prince Charles before King Charles. He was the son of the Queen for many years. Now he's the King of England. I don't want to go too deep into the reality of that family and or what's happening or what's not happening. I'm just giving you a typical example. The president is looking at somebody that when he was younger, he was bowing down to him as a king. He was a person. He was just a person. So it was like that person, that prince was a prince already of very powerful. So you're looking at celebrity status, so you're talking about somebody who hasn't lived that life for a very long time and is about to start flexing that position. So by the time he goes to see a very big king now, one king of Saudi or something, he will bow down like that. Your leader is not a respected leader in diplomatic situation. He's a boy, you understand? So they will know this guy will know you when you were a kid. You're so normal, now you want to be a boss. So you have to, if you're doing democracy, you have to have a very strong leader first of all. Someone that feels like a king. There's no replacement for kings, or queens, because you have to, those people have to negotiate with their mindset for on your behalf. So their mindset, you're talking about diplomatic politicians, their mindset is survival at the top, first of all, to maintain political power. And then secondly, their mindset says avoid problems. Avoid problems. Don't make a scene. Don't make this person angry. Don't do it. They have this submissive political skill that makes them go higher. In politics today, you have to be a little snake, So they've learned how to do dodgy things, to be friends with people, to be socialized. Kings they don't do that kind of stuff. They don't. They will have social life, but they will know to avoid everything because they are doing. It's like a judge. How can a judge be mixing with the case, people of the case, whether criminal lawyer, go party with the lawyer that you have a case with tomorrow? It's not like that. Tomorrow the king want to judge now. He will have friends that he has to pardon. If he's a normal guy, for example, a normal guy becomes president, you will see that all this happens, corruption, because that person has normal friends, family. He will give them contracts, somehow give them money, somehow give them more opportunities. The same thing that a royal family has. That's what he will try to give his family because he will feel that his family is royal. Allah? Yes, when the president gets to power, he feels like the king. His family is royal. They protect him like a king. They everything. So would you rather have somebody who is a king that you voted as a king, someone who's not trained, just a normal guy who says a good character, whatever, the best trained doctor, whatever, but he's a normal guy. He's not. He has not experienced that life. Yeah, and this guy goes to represent. He's good. The first thing, his life will change. His life will change as the president, or her life will change. His or her life will change. The family will be, for the first time, maybe in a high security situation, compared to a royal monarch that lived in a high security situation, knows what to expect, knows who to call. They have a long-term relationship with their security, yeah, passed down security from king to king, something like that. Very trusted things. They know the city, they own that city properly. They know how to use the resources of that nation to make sure the nation is safe. They have the authority from everyone to use the resources of that nation. Plus, there's no parties, means you won't expect half of the nation to say, I didn't vote for you, I don't like you. No, it's not like that. So the mind goes away from people trying to connect to that job. Like, imagine you went to a hospital to perform surgery, but someone voted that your doctor should change. Someone voted that your doctor they should change the general. It's like, who asked your mouth, bro? So we rather have the best doctor than the voted most loved, most approved doctor. It doesn't matter who's approved. If it's just for 4 years, that can be good. Now, why don't they give you for life if you're so good? So yes, I know there's some problems in the monarchy where there's corruption that can occur, but the corruption has more. Uh, you can target who to blame more. What's that word? Accountability. There is direct accountability. The king cannot come and say it's because of the secretary of money that the money is missing. Bro, nobody cares about no secretary. But you're the king. What happened? What's happening with this money? Oh, it's because of the immigration minister. What are you talking about? You are the immigration. So now you know what I mean. But now they got this mixed system in the UK. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about absolute monarchy versus democracy. On democracy as well, you must understand that you're talking about lots of people that might not be qualified to be choosing a leader, might not be qualified because if they check them, there should be, I think there should be a kind of test, that gives people the rights to vote. Because the way people vote, they're not voting responsibly, in my opinion, but that might be undemocratic for me to say that they are not voting responsibly. That's their, democracy, that's their choice. But I'm saying this choice, it's like drivers. Why do we have a driver's license, but we don't have a voter's license? In that way, where I mean, people have to train to drive safely. Yeah. Why are we not? Why don't we have some kind of training? If you're going to have a democracy, have some training so that this person is an educated voter. Because what we're experiencing right now is a lack of educated voters. Democracy is lacking that it's not done the part of educating people properly on how it should work, and there's not even technology advancements in democracy. Like we have moved up in everything. There's nothing happening. We're still voting every 4 years when we have the technology to vote every day. We have the technology to vote anytime we want to vote. We're calling each other now, this and that. The election then was like, you know, if you say we want to be really democratic, we have the software, but obviously, this software can be the problem where they can hack it or something. It might be a problem. But I'm saying the democracy is not so efficient when you think about how untrained or how malicious some people might be. They might be a bought crowd. Like, for example, people might vote for money because they are thinking about, oh, if I vote for this guy, then my area, which is this guy is from my area, will have more things. This is on country's experience. It's very fast. The president is from your area. Sooner or later, you see a lot of things change. The guy is doing more work in that area. That's just human nature. That's why at the end of the day, that power, the urge to have the power needs to die for a leader to lead properly. It means if you're in a democracy, people lead thinking about how to convince citizens that they can be leaders in the next 4 years. So there's a lot of strategies that doesn't really involve the benefit of the nation that are used. Basically, a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, a lot of the mind is producing thoughts. That leader is thinking not just about the nation, but about how he can maintain power to do whatever he has to do, and that could be malicious. That could be something that is directed at fraud. Something that is more goes closer to fraud. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my main problems. Like I don't think there's anything wrong if a country wants to practice democracy, but I think that a lot of people are undermining and underestimating the perfection or the way monarchy works. So I just want to put it there that I do have a very strong love for the monarchical system, monarchies, because of what it represents, which means a settled leadership where leadership is not contested by possibly malicious people every 4 years, but elections could be corrupted. For example, maybe some kind of, like in some countries like Nigeria, they've in cases of ballot boxes being missed and things happening that just corrupts the process, even by 1%. It shows that's a different process. And then monarchy, how are you going to corrupt that process? It's very hard. I'm sure it's possible. Corrupt the process means basically saying corrupt the monarch itself, because the process is very clear how the next leader comes by birth. Some kind of direct bloodline thing. Yes, it looks unfair, but to who? To who? To the person who thinks that leadership is for them too. They're urgent. They think that leadership is a higher position than being a citizen of that nation. But monarchy is, I think, one of the best forms of democracy, because as you can see, your nation naturally would have selected that leader. That's the leader that, okay, I might be wrong. Some people come in by force and all that, but it's the same thing in democracy, where people do come in by force. They corrupt the process. They do, what do you call it, election frauds in many ways, and they have people that are supposed to win that election win it. It happens in many places very, very often. So yeah, there is a case where people can say monarchy is not the best. Of course, there's so many examples, more than 10. But in my opinion, I think that if you apply 10% of the effort to fix the monarchy that you apply to fix the democracy is a whole bunch of effort, 10% of that effort. So politically, you complain all the time. This prime minister, this president, you do 10% of that with your king or your queen, and things, I don't know, things get adjusted. Usually, I mean, if you have a bad monarchical system, that's it. You should know that's a different thing where it happens where people are corrupted by power, people are not stable. But you're talking about very rare cases. Most of the time, most monarchs are in competition with other monarchs, and their nation being in order, being prosperous, is how they compete. So usually the people being in a good way, rich, happy, families are working, everything is working, is usually their flex, because they're not flexing. I know you're thinking they just taking the money and driving the cars. They'll give you that life for 3 days and you'll be tired already. Okay, let's just say 1 week as a rich billionaire, you'll be tired. They don't think about this stuff every day. They're thinking about what to do as a king, what to do as a monarch. And that some people hate that there's somebody like that that is special or is supposed to do a special job. But you give people that don't deserve this power, this same power, this position of a king every 4 years. I was just observing how close to a king, a president, or prime minister is is more than close. It's more than close. It's like almost the same. For a guy to say, okay, we're going to war, that's the king. Is it who did you vote for this? You didn't vote for this. So where's the democracy? They're talking about some of the biggest decisions your country is making. Yeah, you said you wanted democracy so that you can get involved in the politics, but they have just made political. They just made political decisions that involve somebody coming to attack you in your own home. For you're in a war, someone might bust your door and say, "We are soldiers from the opponent's side. We have made it to your door, and you are." So you didn't even vote for this, but now you are in danger of being a killer of somebody you don't want to kill. So you have to understand that kind of idea that you are participating in the power struggle. You're not. You're not part of the power. You're not as strong as you think. So there is a job. It's like the doctor decides, oh, it's bleeding from this. We have to cut the leg. The leg is numb. How? What is the power structure? How do you get involved in that? So it's like a job. Leaders, they should have this autonomy. Basically, you should have the skill to pick them and leave them so they grow. You can't say doctors, lawyers, that they have to change them so that they don't get too powerful. You won't have skilled lawyers and doctors. You have to trust your experts. So yeah, there'll be people that are more expert than others in leadership because they've experienced leadership. They've seen it. They've seen how people that did it before them did it, problems they face while you were just chilling in your life, trying to buy one thing or the other. They are both nothing to buy. They're just focusing on leadership all their life. Study every time they study like my nation, this. So good leaders. See, Dubai is having problems right now, but they had a good leader that made them prosper with the money that they have. If you think that they are not, there's many countries that have more money than Dubai, but look terrible. Like Nigeria, for example, has more money than Dubai, but our leadership is not the democracy. So every 4 years they have a way of avoiding any accountability for what they've done in the last 4 years. But if you look at Dubai, they have a king who's getting loved by not just people from Dubai, but people from outside Dubai. They respect what he has done to that place. So he's enjoying that. The money is not the problem anymore. You think in Dubai they're complaining. Dubai people complaining that, look at our king is too rich. Nah, they don't do that, no. I know Dubai's got problems right now, so but people get the wrong message. But it is an example of a good leader that boosted their use of resources and time. So in a short time as well, they're able to do great things. Dubai is open. What do you call it? They have a lot of I don't know. The people feel better, I guess. They like their leader. Meanwhile, in a democracy, there's a very big chance that people don't want their leader after 4 years, just for choice, just because that choice exists. They have to. It's like you go to a shop, you see 500 things. or 500 phones. You stay there for 1 hour choosing phone based on features. Oh, this one has 1.2 megapixel. I don't know what they do these days, but megapixel phones. The internet is, the screen is big, it's foldable. So this is how you waste your time picking a phone. But phone is just for make call. Don't forget, phone is to make call, to text. It's not to, do all these many small things. But people waste their time, spend their resources to make sure that they have the details. So those people, they know now, so they produce a phone every year because they know you're buying it. So that's how they produce leaders. If somebody wants to rule your country for 50 years, you can use democracy. You won't even know the person. Put the leader, sponsor the politicians every year. Who's my boy? Oh, you my boy? Okay, good. So that guy will be king in your nation, whatever he wants, they'll be doing it for him. As long as you give power to the democratically elected president to change the law or change things anytime he wants, then yeah, good luck with this part of power, being part of the political process. So you can vote. They'll let you vote every 4 years. After that, hands off. Don't touch this power, but don't touch this so-called involvement in political process. So your only involvement in political process is to go and put paper, to go and choose your man. After that, the only thing you can do is complain and protest. So I don't understand what is so special about democracy. Actually, it's like, are you getting more power, or are you feeling more powerful? So are you powerful or not? Because like, wait, you have power now to vote for your guy, okay? So what if the two guys are actually friends? They're not really enemies, but they got you in the middle. Like, come on, man, vote for me, vote. So you're voting for one guy who's split into two, using two fake puppets. So after this, you go to sleep and say, "Oh, this is the leader now." So my point is, don't you want that person to be a solid, tested, and trusted, something that you've been watching since their stories, everybody knows their life, watching them into their life because you're a ruler. They trained them to be a good leader. They don't just suddenly appear at the top and say, "Oh, I'm your prime minister." They train them for years. They watch things, everything. They know that if they do something, their grandchildren will be recognized, their grandparents will be cursed. So there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of accountability. Even royal families that don't get involved in politics get blamed for the for the way the things are going in the country. So there's accountability. There's somewhere to put the blame. The royal families that share part, like in the British system where there's royal family and parliament, the people still blame Prince King Charles for poverty. They be like, you're making us poor. But what about this power that you have over your society? Don't you use it to make yourself better? If you don't, what is the use of this system? If you can't use it to make your life better, directly affects the outcomes of decisions. What you don't. The only thing you do is affect the outcome of elections. After that, you can't do anything. Tell me, I've observed the system. Tell me what you do after you vote to give you any involvement in decision making every day. Do they give you a daily? No, you don't vote anymore. That guy and his friends, they go with your power. They go with your power. They go and party. First of all, they go and party. You see that COVID time, while they locked you down, they got the prime minister and friends having a party. Hmm? No mask, mask off. Yeah, so I don't want to go too far. I think I've covered most of it. So my favorite point from this whole list is they get prepared from birth. I think you can't underestimate what preparedness can do. They get to be an apprentice to the so-called genius, or not so-called, but the leader. They get to be an apprentice for a boss. So they learn all those things. There's nothing like an apprentice school or apprenticeship. Apprenticeship beats school because it's hands-on leadership. They go out. So this boy, let's say example, the prince, as they're going out with his king dad to go to royal meetings, they know how to sit down, how to look, how to dress, how to have power maintained by just aura. You know? So now you look at someone like, some people know, you look at Boris Johnson. I remember Boris Johnson can just come out hair rough, everything. Yeah, I'm a very funky prime minister. I'm just a, boy toy. This. Anything he wanted to do, he can do. Dress up. I'm just saying, for example, they catch a prime minister, he'll be doing bad things. All they have to do is fire him. Imagine catching a prince, or they've caught Prince Andrew now. They've fired him. Okay, Prince Andrew is not prince or not the king. My point is, there's direct responsibility. Those guys, they take the shot directly. If you're going to blame anyone in democracy, the party will still be existing. They won't stop democracy. They will change the participants in the democracy. You guys get problem and you change the system. Democracy, they have a problem. They change the participants. They've shown you many times there's many problems. So I don't want to let it not be like they've shown that this can produce corruption all the time, and everybody's worried about corruption in the monarchy, but the monarchy has no accountability. So I'm going to just try and leave it there for now. I think I've said most of what I wanted to say. Yeah. So you obviously have a choice, to choose between choosing your king every 4 years or letting the king tree grow. The king tree, because it's a family tree. They have a fruit. It comes from a fruit, an initial tree that people like the fruit. They say this is the best fruit. Of course, we can have a problem and then they have to change that tree, but then don't change the tree to a flower, or something that grows 4 years. That's not a So that's a lot of stress taking care of that flower. That's what happens every 4 years. You have to maintain this democracy. You have to maintain it with elections. Money is gone. Time is gone. Policies change every time. No respect. They don't ask you to change before they change the law. What you have to do when they change the law, you wait for 4 years, or maybe you go for impeachment, long process. Wait for 4 years for voting them out. And this time they already declared you an enemy of their progress. They might even do more bad things. So these are very dodgy situations where people can get corrupted for many reasons. So my advice is I prefer is to nations to embrace monarchy more. I prefer monarchy. I advise people to embrace monarchy more because of how simple it is for accountability. Accountability is very important in any job, any role. In democracy, leaders are not accountable. It means you said you're a company called democracy. You want to bring in great leadership. You failed. Every time you fail, you say, sorry, we'll fire the boss. And your boss fails again, sorry, we'll fire the boss. So why am I going to be using this company? So in a monarchy, you got a king, he fucks up. They get him off, they get another king. And this doesn't happen a lot where kings are getting taken out of their position. It's very rare. Compared to democracy, every 4 years, people already hate you. They want you out. Well, first of all, they have a choice. You have the short-term policies. Your mind is this ADHD system, this presidential democracy. Because every 4 years, you forgot who you chose to lead you. Now your mind is like, okay, let me choose another one, or maybe I'll choose the same guy, or let me check out the choice. It's kind of weak, weak choice making and a lot of stuff like that, So it says to people, don't worry about this. Don't be too serious with choosing your leader for 4 years, because in the next 4 years, you choose another one. So you can choose lower quality. Some people, they ask them in the election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, which one did you like? Actually, I didn't like anyone, but they're both low quality. I didn't like anyone, but we didn't have a choice. We had just these two to choose from. So for so yeah, there is a lot of problems I can see with this system, unless they adjust it in a way that people actually can participate daily, every second. Every second they can participate. There's battle. We want to make a decision on this. Back down, everybody, go join. If not, this is scam. This is a scam. This is a scam. Because you're only voting for one guy with some policies that he doesn't have to implement. What are you gonna do? You're gonna physically drag him out of office? No, he said, okay, I'm gonna change the water to wine. Okay, I'm gonna change the water to wine. Of course. He get into power. Sorry, man, I can't change water to wine. Man, some problems. And what are you gonna do? You have to be angry and then wait for 4 years. Wait for 4 years to react by voting another puppet, another guy who tell you, I'm going to change this water to wine. I will change this water. But this guy has the same thing going on like this, and there's no water to wine. This guy's buzzing. So they can do that to you continuously. Well, if a king comes in He knows he can't escape in 4 years. He won't be making such promises. I will change water to wine, you know? If your king says he's going to change something, you know, he can't escape and not do it. You know, he had to die before he escapes, that kind of stuff. So he can't, till birth, till death, no? Or till someone takes him out of position. So there's more accountability, more responsibility there. People want to do what they say in that situation. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop here. Maybe I'll adjust this video later, but yeah, thanks.